What's up everybody, Matt Maran here for another weekly update. I first off apologize for how horrible I sound. I'm just having a very bad cold here this week. And so this video and the review for next week will have this very rough voice. So I apologize, but the show must go on. So I'm going to persevere here. So first off, the big news of this week here is we got our first glimpse at the 2020 Supra without camouflage, finally. This picture was courtesy of Super Mark 5 and their forums. Someone posted up, this was, I guess it looks like it's in a trailer being transported somewhere, but we can see a very clear shot of the front end there, and I have to admit that it actually looks much better without the camo than I was expecting it to. It looks really good there in that silver paint, and while it still doesn't look as good as the FT1 concept that it's obviously based on as far as the styling goes, it did translate pretty well in a lot of ways, although like I said, unfortunately the Supra's a lot stubbier than the FT1, so not quite as good looking, but still, I think the Supra, I'm pleasantly surprised so far with the looks of it, at least from that one shot. Other things, though, we know, of course, it's going to be revealed January 14th in Detroit. Toyota has confirmed, and maybe we'll see some leaks, before then as well, some other stuff. But in the meantime, it's great to see that one shot. Toyota has also given us their own teaser of the Supra, showing us just the side mirror and the red seat here on this gray car. And so that's because they're saying the first Supra is going to be auctioned off at Barrett-Jackson the week later in the week following the reveal in Detroit, and so it's going to be a matte gray car with red accents and red interior, as you can see, which is cool. Hopefully that's like a production option to get matte paint's going to be cool, and having a red interior is always cool. And so anyway, cool to see that. Lots of cools here, but no, I'm excited for it. Also, Toyota has shown a teaser for a final Supra race car that they're going to be showing at the Tokyo Auto Salon a few days before Detroit, and so they showed a teaser of that as well here, and it's the silhouette is obviously of the GT racing car, so it's going to be longer and more spread out than the normal Supra, but anyway, cool to see that as well. Also, pricing has leaked out for the Supra sibling, the 2020 Z4, the M40i version specifically, thanks again to the Super Mark 5 forums where someone posted up these dealer documents, it appears to be. And so anyway, it's going to be reportedly starting at $65,690, and that's including destination, but that still sounds a little high, and it's kind of is, kind of isn't, depending on what you compare it to. So, and clearly there will be a more affordable 4-cylinder version, of course, so who knows what the pricing will be on that one. This is for, the top performing version, and it still is about $1,000 cheaper than the starting price of the top performing version of the current Z4 if you go onto the BMW site and go into the configurator. So it is slightly cheaper for the, faster, newer versions, so that's good at least. But still, whenever you compare it to real M models, this isn't even a real M, it's just the M40i. If you compare it to real M stuff, like the M2 Competition's like $5 cheaper, the M3 is only about $2 more expensive, and a lot more usable. Obviously, the Roadster is cool with its convertible top and stuff, but it's still, it's just going to be pricey, but it always has been, I guess, in the past generation here at least. It's not the, $40,000 little Roadster that it used to be. But anyway, that's exciting to see, and they didn't give any kind of official stuff. This is all leaked, but we do know they're saying it's going to be arriving sometime next spring here, and hopefully we'll have some details before then. In some other BMW news that is official here, BMW has confirmed to Jalopnik, actually, that the next-gen 3 Series Wagon won't be sold in the United States. So currently it will be available in Europe. They are doing a wagon, just they're not bringing it here. And it's also, of course, Europe's the only place where you can get a manual in the base model 4-cylinder. In America here, it's all sedans and all automatics, and that's all you get. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, the wagon's sold in very low numbers as well, so you can't really blame them, from a bean counter standpoint. If you are desperate for a new BMW wagon, though, you can still order the 2019 model year version for a couple of months, actually, before the 2020s start being produced and arriving. So still a little bit of time if you really want the old outdated version here, but anyway, cool to see that. McLaren has revealed the new 720S Spider this week with its standard carbon fiber power retractable hardtop. Very similar to the design of the one in the 570S Spider, but awesome it's in carbon fiber here. You can actually get a glass roof version as well, which I'll get to more in a second. But this roof, it's electronically powered instead of hydraulically, meaning it's not as heavy as past mechanisms, so the weight gain isn't as large as it usually is with convertibles. It goes up and down much faster than the 650S Spider, with it going up and down in 11 seconds. It speeds up to 31 miles per hour. Previously, the 650S, it was 17 seconds to go up or down, and 18 miles per hour was the limit for the moving that top around. So nice improvements there on both sides. They've also reinforced the monotube or monocage tub with more carbon fiber to allow for the lack of a roof, of course, but also to retain those slim A-pillars. So you're still going to have that fantastic visibility that you had in the coupe here in the convertible as well. Speaking of that visibility, another cool feature is those flying buttresses in the back. They are made out of glazed glass. So unlike the, on the 570S Spider, they're just pillars there, and it looks fine. It's just, not quite as open as totally flat deck lids in the back on some other convertibles. But anyway, with these, you have better visibility because you can kind of see through them, at least partially, which is really cool. Another cool thing is you can get an electrochromatic glass roof that can tint itself with the push of a button if you want to see the sky but you don't want the wind. But you can also get a glass roof version of the Coupe 720, which is, going to be a good amount cheaper. So, really, I don't know why you would want that unless, you still also want the option to take the roof down. But I think if you're going to get the convertible, just take the roof off and stick with the standard carbon fiber roof instead for this Spider version. But anyway, getting back to this here. All these changes for the Spider version, it only makes it 108 pounds heavier, which is pretty good when you compare the weight changes of other vehicles when they go to convertible form. And that also doesn't affect performance hardly at all, even though the power is the same as the Coupe. There isn't any kind of boost, of course. But 0 to 60 and top speed are actually the same with the Spider, although with the roof down, you can only do 202 miles per hour instead of, I think, 212 for the 720S normally. The only things that are slower by 0.1 second slower for the 0 to 124 mile per hour run and for the quarter mile run. Both of those are 0.1 seconds slower. That's it. So, I mean, you really basically give up nothing, which is amazing. So that certainly would make this my pick if I were to get a McLaren. They do the Spider version so well. They also claim a dry weight of 2,937 pounds, which is 194 pounds lighter than the 48 Spider, which they're very proud of, I think. And so, yeah, deliveries are going to be starting in March with prices starting at $315,000. So, anyway, cool to see that. In other supercar news, Aston Martin has revealed the engine specs for the Valkyrie, which is really sweet. So it's a naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12 that revs to 11,100 RPMs and does 1,000 horsepower, naturally aspirated, and that's not including any kind of electrified boost. We know this is going to have a hybrid component. They didn't list out combined horsepower. This is just out of this engine, 1,000 horsepower, which is like unheard of amounts of horsepower per liter. It's just crazy. And it, of course, sounds amazing as well, being a V12 that revs to 11,000 RPMs here. And so on Aston Martin's Twitter page, which I'll link in the description there, you can click and listen to it. They have a little audio clip of how it sounds, and it sounds really, really good. It sounds like an old Formula One car from, back when, they had those high-revving V12s too. And so, getting back to the numbers here, peak power is made at 10,500 RPM, so that extra 600 RPM is just bonus, just because they can. Torque is 546 pound-feet, so much lower, of course, than the horsepower, but a vehicle like this, it's all about the horsepower, not really the torque anyway. But anyway, you've reached that peak torque number by 7,000 RPMs too, so I mean, it's definitely a motor you got to wind out in every way. Yeah, the engine's built by Cosworth and weighs 454 pounds, and as well, it also features titanium connecting rods, F1 spec pistons, and a billet machine crankshaft that supposedly takes 6 months to make, which is pretty crazy stuff. So Yeah, sounds like a gem of a motor, and yeah, hopefully these Valkyries start hitting the road. I think they said by the end of next year, end of 2019 here. We'll have to wait and see, but anyway, man, that's going to be amazing. Whoever gets to hear that in person is going to be a very lucky person. Some less exciting numbers were officially revealed by Ford this week, and this is the Ranger's fuel economy numbers, which are mostly the same as the numbers that leaked out previously, but we do have the numbers for the all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive version as well. So anyway, the rear-wheel drive version does 21 in the city, 26 on the highway for a combined average of 23. And then if you go onto the four-wheel drive version, it only gets 1 MPG less in the city and combined, and 2 less on the highway. So pretty respectable fuel economy. And you know, it runs the 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, turbocharged, and so doing about the same horsepower as the V6 competition. If you compare it to the V6 competition as far as fuel economy goes, that makes it basically best in class, which is really, really impressive. And when you compare it to the 4-cylinder stuff in the class, it still isn't quite too bad either. So I mean, it's going to be very compelling, I think, as a package, this new Ranger. And anyway, they're going to be available soon, so cool to see that. In some other truck news, Ford was spied testing a new small truck rumored to be called the Courier. And so this is thanks to my spy photographer Brian Williams for these pictures. And although it may look like a van in these pictures, that's just to throw people off, since it has a sliding rear window behind the drivers, proving it really is a truck, and you can see it pretty clearly there. It's rumored to be based off of the current gen Focus platform, and so if those rumors are true, that means it'll likely be, of course, unibody and also front wheel drive, although maybe all wheel drive would be added as an option. Because obviously we saw the all-wheel drive in the Focus RS, and maybe they could port that over possibly. It's also likely to be offered in both 2-door and 4-door versions. As far as the looks go, you know, it's obviously very heavily camouflaged, so we can't see much, but up front, what we can see through the camo, it appears to look similar to the Escape front end, to me at least. Just a little more squished and a little lower, of course. But this would be a great solution for those who, you know, were disappointed by the Ranger and the fact that it's so huge and still a little bit pricey. You know, people who really want a true small truck. No one really offers a truly small truck anymore. The Frontier is maybe the closest thing, and that's, you know, only because that's such an ancient truck on its own. But all these other mid-size trucks have really ballooned in size, making the jump up to the full-size trucks really, you know, not much of a leap. So it kind of makes the mid-size a little bit less desirable. So I think if Ford can actually pull this off and do it in a legit way, so it doesn't just seem like a Focus with a truck bed, I think they could have something really, really awesome here, and, you know, really satisfy those that are, you know, fans of the original Rangers that were small. And to further fuel this fire of rumors here, Ford has also trademarked the Courier name here in the United States earlier this year, suggesting it's a name they're going to use, and also suggesting if there's trademarking here in the U.S. that hopefully maybe we'll actually get this here in the States. It's obviously testing in Michigan. It has Michigan plates, but they do often test some overseas stuff here in the States as well. So, you know, other markets around the world have had a small truck like this from Ford for a long time, but, you know, it's never been something we've gotten, but I think it's something that certainly could sell here. So hopefully they are planning on bringing this here. We'll have to wait and see, but cool to see that. The last bit of Ford news here is actually from Lincoln, and that's that they teased the idea of the Continental getting suicide doors again, which has been rumored for a while. I've been hearing this several different places that it's going to be getting suicide doors, so I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. But anyway, Lincoln just tweeted a picture of an old Continental's door handles, saying, here's their tweet. They say, "Making a statement without a word. Center opening doors elevated the Lincoln Continental of the mid-1960s to the pinnacle of mid-century style, a car driven by the likes of Pablo Picasso. Hashtag TBT Throwback Thursday, or is it? Stay tuned for our Instagram feed for more." So I'm not sure how soon we'll see something like this. We could see something potentially in Detroit, although the schedule did come out for the Detroit Auto Show, and Lincoln is not scheduled to have a press conference, so that means there's no big reveals from them in Detroit. But, you know, this is something that's small enough they could still just kind of have it there on their show stand and, you know, not make a huge conference over it, you know, and just be like, by the way, we have new doors. Hooray. That would be cool. I really hope they do that because I think that'd be amazing. Me being a retro lover, having suicide doors on a Continental just sounds right. And also would give it a cool advantage over some of the other luxury stuff because the only other vehicle with suicide doors currently is the Rolls Royces. And, you know, there's one thing that people really love is having those upmarket features. And suicide doors are very cool. I think this could sell a lot of Continentals, so I really hope that they do that. Speaking of American luxury cars, a couple of Cadillacs were spied this week. First is our look at the next-gen Escalade here, both in regular and ESV forms. And so the camo hides most of the styling very well, so it's hard to tell the details, but does appear to be running some cheap non-production tail lamps. So that's total mystery as far as what kind of tail lamps it's going to have in the back there. Still looks big and boxy though. You know, it looks, obviously it's the same platform, same dimensions, most likely very similar to the new Tahoe and Suburban, which were spied over the past couple of months as well, their next-gen versions. It also seems to be running the independent rear suspension that the Tahoe and Suburban were introducing for the first time ever, and that'll really help the Escalade especially to have much better ride comfort, better handling as well to help it better compete with the Navigator and others out there. And so anyway, we don't have any more details on this just yet. This is our first time seeing this spied, so I'm sure maybe we'll get some more details, maybe a glimpse of the interior as these continue to get you know, tested and spied out here in the open. But anyway, cool to see that. And then also the Cadillac XT6 was spied again. We've seen this already a couple of times, but I think Cadillac did confirm we will be seeing that at the Detroit Auto Show, which is going to be cool to see. But anyway, this is their smaller three-row Cadillac for those who don't want to go up to the Escalade. And this time we do also see a glimpse of the interior as well for the first time. And it doesn't seem to get all the same new improvements of the XT4 interior. Seems to be a little bit more similar to like the XT5 and the CT6. And so maybe that's just to keep it continuous with the XT5, and people who are shopping those will, you know, look at the XT6 and see that it's pretty much the same, and that won't throw them off. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, these are supposedly going to be going on sale in the middle of next year, and so cool to see that spied once again. Other GM news is a report from a GM authority claiming that we won't see the mid-engine Corvette at the Detroit Auto Show, and Chevy actually doesn't have any press conference scheduled at all for Detroit, so Chevy has nothing new to show us. Maybe they're kind of pulling back too, and you know, because of the recent backlash with all their closings of plants and stuff. I don't know, but nothing new from Chevy coming in Detroit, unfortunately, and that includes the mid-engine Corvette. But the Corvette, the part of the reason why as well is the car has actually been delayed by about 6 months, supposedly, according to Jalopnik and a few others that are posting about this. Basically, someone spoke to them on the condition of anonymity and said that basically it's being delayed because the engineering team found a pretty big flaw in the vehicle. So supposedly they used like a parts bin GM electrical system in the vehicle, thinking that would work fine, but then they realized as they were, I guess, lapping the Nürburgring, as they've been, you know, photographed doing, I mean, the car seems to be, you know, in full working order. You know, they at this point supposedly discovered that this electrical system can't carry the loads required for all the components the new car is going to be running. So supposedly they have to go back and re-engineer the entire electrical system on the mid-engine Corvette, which is a pretty big job, I think. And, you know, it's just strange, though, because you would think they would have over-engineered that if they're, you know, everything's going electrified down the road and stuff. Maybe they would build that in already, but I don't know. But anyway, it's just crazy. They got all the way to this point in the testing and then realized, oh, wait, we have to re-engineer the whole electrical system. But at least they caught it now instead of, you know, some fiasco later. So, you know, good to see that they've caught their mistake and are working to fix that. And again, this is all unofficial stuff. This is just, you know, rumors. This person said this, and that's that. So, you know, this could all be false too. Who knows? But we know we're still going to be waiting because we know there is no press conference for Chevy in Detroit. So definitely not going to see it there. No hopes whatsoever. Hopefully we'll get some more info though here before the end of next year. But anyway, another vehicle that was spied testing was the new BMW 8 Series Gran Coupe with only a little bit of camo on the sides. BMW is very liberal with their camouflage. They just basically just do a little bit and then they're just not worried about it. I mean, you can see there's really no surprises here. It looks exactly as you would expect a stretched version of the 8 Series to look. Even the back end looks very similar to the two-door, so nothing really changing here. And it looks pretty ready to go too, honestly. So I'm sure we'll see see a debut fairly soon, maybe even the next month or two. But anyway, cool to see that. And BMW, of course, none of the German manufacturers are even coming to Detroit this year, so no hopes of seeing it there. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure we'll see it very soon somewhere else. Audi was also spied testing a redesign for the 2020 A4 this past week, and so it's on the same platform as the current gen, but the body panels are supposedly all new from the window line down. So I think the roof and the windows are like the same, but everything else has changed, at least as far as the skin goes. And so I think that part of this, the reasoning is possibly because sedans are selling less than they have before, and so therefore it just doesn't justify doing an all-new version. I think, you know, the A6 and the A8 were just too old. They had to completely do a totally new version, but the A4 isn't quite as old, so they figured they can get away with this for a few more years. And, you know, it makes sense, and can't really blame them, I guess, too much. But it does look like it's going to be fairly different. The headlights look a good deal bigger to me, at least. Has a larger grille. It kind of looks more similar to the other Audis out there. And it's also rumored to be on the inside getting more of, you know, the same kind of stuff you see on the other Audis. Probably won't get the dual touchscreens there, although it could possibly. But definitely will get some of that new tech from the other Audis as well. And I don't know when it's going to be revealed, but it seems fairly far along, so I'm guessing could be even as soon as like the Geneva Motor Show, you know, in March or something like that. But anyway, cool to see that. Other Volkswagen Group news is that Volkswagen has teased the redesigned 2020 Passat for the U.S. market. So other markets already got a redesigned Passat, I think, like last year. This version that we're going to be getting is just a restyled version of the current gen car. Although, once again, they're saying every panel is new except the roof. So I guess Audi and Volkswagen are taking the same approach here. I'm not sure why they can't just bring the European version over. They did a whole completely new redesign for the Passat over in Europe, and I'm guessing it would be engineered to pass our, you know, safety standards and stuff like that. So why not just bring that over? I don't get it. But anyway, so we're getting a refreshed version once again of a car that's been around since 2011. And so it sounds like to me, honestly, you know, they have that Arteon coming. I think maybe that's their focus. It's really a shame though, because the Passat name is just so iconic and it's been around for so long. To kind of just throw it by the wayside and focus on the Arteon, it seems to be a shame. But the Arteon is going to be the one that's going to be all new, have all the newest tech, be a completely new platform, and, you know, very impressive and edgier styling and stuff. But anyway, getting back to the Passat here. The sketches here show a dramatic version of the design changes, and this is all thanks to Autoblog. They got an early look at the vehicle, and they weren't able to take pictures of it, but they kind of described it and gave a lot of details here. So this is all thanks to Autoblog here. So anyway, they said basically in summary to imagine a bigger, taller Jetta, and you have a pretty good idea of what to expect design-wise. They also said it gets lots of other little details here, like there's new LED headlamps that are standard, which is great news, and some not so great news though. They report that the R-Line that's pictured here gets what appears to be quad exhausts, but they're just dummy units there in the rear bumper, and instead there's a muffler with a pipe that, you know, curves downward further back there by the rear suspension area to be hidden nicely, and so you just have these fake exhaust tips, which annoyed me so much. I complained about that in the Audi SQ5, which also has those, and just, I don't know, to me that's really lame. But anyway, that's only on the R-Line version, I think, so if you go for a normal trim of the Passat, you don't have to have fake exhaust tips, hopefully. Inside, they report to get some changes as well, including Volkswagen's newest infotainment system, but unfortunately, they say it doesn't have the Volkswagen digital cockpit. And I guess Volkswagen told them the reason for this is it's not on the new MQB platform. I'm not sure why you need to be on a new platform in order to have digital gauges. Lots of other car companies just swap in digital gauges, even in like the Mustang. Like my Mustang has digital gauges, not on a new platform, and you can swap it into the other, in 2015 to 2017 Mustangs as well if you'd like. It's just unplugging one gauge cluster, plugging another one in, maybe a few extra wires, but that's about it. So I don't know why they're, you know, not doing that, since they're doing that and all the other stuff. It's just going to make the Passat look bad. You get into any other Volkswagen product and you're going to see digital gauges for the most part, and then you hop into the new Passat, brand new for 2020, and it's going to have old analog gauges. It just seems like they're just having a half-hearted attempt at it, in my personal opinion. But anyway, that's what they want to do with it. That's up to them. And so Lastly here, a couple other little things is mechanical details. So they say the horsepower stays the same at 174 horsepower from the turbo 4-cylinder, but torque has increased from 184 pound-feet to 207. So that's a meaningful increase in torque and should help make it feel a little zippier. But it's all still running through a 6-speed automatic as well. It doesn't even get a new transmission and front-wheel drive as well. And anyways, should be arriving by mid to late summer. And the Arteon's supposed to be showing up around then too, possibly even a little sooner. So yeah, they're going to kind of be competing against each other. And to me, it doesn't look pretty for the Passat. We'll have to see. Other Volkswagen news briefly here is that the new Jetta GLI is going to be debuting at the Chicago Auto Show in February. Volkswagen is confirmed. And we heard in the past it's going to get the independent rear suspension again, like the previous gen did. And it's probably going to get a very similar powertrain to the GTI, if not identical. But anyway, cool to see that. And Porsche this week has revealed all the details for the 2019 Macan S. So they already showed the base model, a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago, for 2019 here, which gets the refresh styling. So the styling really doesn't change for the S version. For the S, though, it does get a new 3-liter single-turbo V6 engine. Used to be a twin-turbo V6, but now single turbo, and it does 348 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque, which is 8 horsepower more than the old setup. And the turbo now is in a hot V configuration there, which allows it to have less turbo lag, they say, as well, which is great. 0 to 60 time is 0.1 second faster at 4.9 seconds, as quoted by Porsche. It also gets brakes that are 10 millimeter bigger and 36 millimeters wider, and has a more refined pedal feel, they said, as well, for the brake pedal there. Another small change is that the front axle strut forks are now lighter, thanks to being made from aluminum, which Porsche says gives the front end more precision and comfort, since you have less unsprung weight there, which is great. They also retuned the front sway bar for better handling as well, so overall it should be a little bit more dynamic of a vehicle, in addition to having the refreshed looks, which is cool. They're kind of doing small changes like that as well. Inside, it gets the same upgrades as the base Macan, with the new 10.9-inch touchscreen display from other Porsches like the Panamera and stuff. And pricing is going to be starting at $59,650, including destination, and ordering is already open, so you can go ahead and place an order now if you want. And so I guess that means these should be arriving, I'm guessing, I think like early spring or something. We'll have to wait and see, but anyway, cool to see that. Chevy has announced that Al Oppenheiser, who's the chief engineer for both the 5th and 6th gen Camaro engineering team here, he's going to be leaving that job to now be the head of Chevy's electric vehicle program starting in January. So he's going to be overseeing and working on multiple models now instead of just one with the Camaro. So he's going to be doing a bunch of these different ones that Chevy's planning to debut over the next few years. Chevy's promised several electric vehicles in addition to the Bolt they already have. And then the new Camaro chief engineer is going to be Mark Dickens, who was also the engineering manager for the 6th gen Camaro, so he's already familiar with the Camaro program and helped make the 6th gen as good driving as it is already. And he was previously the head of the performance variants, parts, accessories, and motorsports engineering division. So he's going to be the new chief engineer here. But that should mean the Camaro will continue to be great, and the new Chevy EVs should be very good driving, because Al really, he's fantastic. The Camaro, the new Camaro, that's been around for a few years now. It's just a fantastic driving vehicle. And so I'm hoping that he influences these EVs to be really fun to drive as well, but we'll have to wait and see. And then the last story this week, also electric vehicle news here, is Infiniti has teased the concept vehicle they'll be showing in Detroit in January, which will be an electric crossover. They didn't give a name for it yet, but it's supposed to show the future design direction for the brand, both for exterior and interior styling, as they say they now have more cabin space to kind of open it up whenever you don't have to worry about an engine anymore, especially in those full EVs. And so they want to have more lounge-like interiors, and so I think they'll be previewing that a little bit here in this concept vehicle. They do plan to electrify the whole range and go towards full EVs. I think they said everything will be at least a mild hybrid by 2021, and then they're going to have, of course, EVs and stuff coming too. But anyway, what we can see there from the teaser, the front end looks very cool. Obviously, lots of LED illumination, which is very trendy these days, and looks very cool. But anyway, that's all we can really see from that, and I'll be in Detroit in January to cover that and all the vehicles that'll be revealed there. But yes, that's it it for all the news this week, guys. So thank you guys for bearing with me here with my rough sounding voice. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts and everything in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care.